Man, oh man, Denzel has still got it. At the age of 68, he has once again teamed up with director Antoine Fuqua to give us the conclusion to the Equalizer trilogy, The Equalizer 3. Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, I have a short and sweet little ranking for you all, as I am going to be ranking all three of the Equalizer movies. So the Equalizer franchise hasn't necessarily ballooned or blossomed and gotten as big as something like, say, the John Wick movies, for instance. But that doesn't mean that they haven't garnered their own dedicated following, considering that the Equalizer 3 just had the biggest opening weekend at the box office of all three movies. But now the question that is on everyone's mind is, even though it had the biggest opening, how does it compare to the previous two in terms of quality? Well folks, that's what we're about to find out. Of course, as always though, I do want to reiterate that this list is completely subjective. It is my own personal thoughts, opinions, and feelings, and that is why it is oh so important that you leave your own ranking down in the comments below. Before I hop into the actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. There is already well over 150 videos in that playlist, so if movie rankings are your thing, then be sure to check that out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so, without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 3, The Equalizer 3. It does genuinely pain me to put this one in the last place spot. The fact that this movie led by a nearly 70-year-old man, and the finale to a trilogy of movie that saw its most recent entry 5 years ago and its first entry almost a decade ago, ended up having the biggest opening weekend of the three movies. However, in terms of quality, I think this one is a clear step below the rest. Now, that's not the fault of Denzel or Antoine Fuqua, because Denzel is stellar as always. You can tell he very clearly loves and is passionate about this character and wanted to give him a fitting send-off. Antoine Fuqua, as always, brings his signature style. He always finds new ways to sort of reinvent the wheel and keep his audience interested and engaged, and it's no different here. The action sequences are top tier, as they always are. However, therein lies the problem. Not the action sequences themselves, but the frequency of them, because they are very few and far between. When they do hit, though, they are awesome. They are brutal, they are bloody, just boy oh boy, they are violent, and I dug the hell out of them. And I did enjoy the themes that this movie explored. I completely understood why it was a slower paced movie. It was really meant to show the aging and the changing of the character, and all of that worked well for me. I loved him finding that inner peace and just immersing himself in this new culture and among these people. All of that stuff worked really well. It's just everything else, the rest of the plot outside of that, was paper thin. It was very generic, very formulaic, and the villain, or villains, I guess, were just unbelievably forgettable. Like, that's the only way I can describe them. So, some things worked, some things didn't. Still definitely a solid watch. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed this movie, and it really did give me a satisfying conclusion for Robert McCall's story. I genuinely feel like we're not going to see another Equalizer movie with Denzel. Number 2, The Equalizer. Yeah, it doesn't take me long to stir up some controversy. Even in a ranking that only has 3 movies, I'm sure this is gonna piss more than a few people off. This first Equalizer movie, and spoiler alert, the second one that will be in the first place spot, are neck and neck. I score them the exact same, and I will explain to you why I feel that this one deserves to be in second place. I think this one has the best action of the 3, though it's not necessarily the same as John Wick, and the reason I compare these two so often is because they sort of ushered in this new subgenre of older stars playing retired hitmen or CIA operatives or black ops operatives or whatever, coming back out of retirement and getting their hands dirty once again. They both released their first movies in 2014, and then this year alone we got The Equalizer 3 and John Wick Chapter 4, so their stories are just intertwined. Nevertheless, though, there is a clear difference in the way that the action is portrayed. This movie is done with a lot more style and finesse. You have slow-mo, you have close-ups, Denzel is always going on about his timer, but it's clear that this one's a little more hyper-stylized. Again, though, this action is the best of the 3 Equalizer movies. I also love the whole final sequence too. I think that was extremely well executed. The story in the end kind of just boils down to the typical revenge plot, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because again, the first John Wick's basically the exact same thing. But it's Denzel that wins you over. When he steps back into the fray and all hell gets let loose, you are along for the ride and locked in. Where my issues come with this movie are again the just very run-of-the-mill plot that doesn't do much to complement all of the cool stuff going on around it, and the villains once again are just so painfully generic, and they didn't do anything for me, and that right there is the exact reason why this one ends up in second place. Number 1, The Equalizer 2. Hear me out as to why the second Equalizer, which in terms of reviews is actually the lowest scored of the 3, is my own personal favorite of these 3 movies. Plainly and simply, once again, always Denzel, Antoine Fuqua, they work magic together. Those 2 staples are always going to be in there in the DNA of these movies and why we love them so much. And I think it does have action that rivals that of the first. Not quite as good or clean as the first movie, but pretty damn close. 2 big things. Actually, 3 big things. The first one, the story is far more personal than it is in that of the first or the third. It is directly linked to Robert McCall's life. So firstly, I loved that about this movie. Secondly, you have what is by far the best villain in this series, though the writing is still not all that strong. You can never say that Pedro Pascal gives a bad performance. He is wonderful as always. And the third thing is, I just simply adore the final sequence in this movie taking place in an abandoned town during a hurricane. It's just unlike anything I'd really seen before. And so to me, this is the most well-rounded of the 3 Equalizer movies. Though you may disagree, that is totally cool with me, but for myself personally and for this video today, The Equalizer 2 is taking that top spot. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. While you're at it, don't forget to let me know how you would have ranked all 3 of the Equalizer movies. If you're a movie lover whatsoever, then my channel is the place to be for you, be it rankings like this one, top 10 videos, tier videos, versus videos. I have it all and so much more on the channel for you to enjoy, with plenty more fun, big, exciting things happening behind the scenes all the time. I promise, I know I've been saying this for a while, but there is cool stuff coming, folks. And we are closing in on 1,000 videos on the channel for you to sit back, watch, and enjoy. So if you enjoyed this particular video, then be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if any of that sounds like it's right for you and you want to see more from me, then smash that subscribe button right now. While you're at it, don't forget to ring that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you. And while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.